we're going to move on to adding color. And like I said, if you have other materials at home, you can do colored pencils, crayons, markers. Just remember, if you're using markers, I always tell my students, if the marker doesn't work great, throw it away. Start with a new fresh one. So for now, I'm going to show you how to do the watercolor. So I start with getting my brush wet. So you need a cup of water, paper towel, your watercolors, and a brush. And I start with my brush wet, and I just paint just some water on my chameleon. This water is going to help that watercolor paint go on smoother and not have it be kind of stripy. So I'm going to paint water over my chameleon. Maybe I'm just going to do half with water right now so it doesn't dry by the time I get back. I'm going to dip into my green. Now I'm going to just paint my whole chameleon green for now, even the stripes, because I can come back and paint over those since I have two colors that go together. Because blue is part of making up green. Green is made by yellow and blue together. So you can see how the water being on there is just helping that watercolor go on smoothly with no stripes in there. Now I've got my chameleon, he's painted green. Mine's a he, I guess. Yours could be a she. Now on my original one, he had a lot of shading going on. So you could actually, now that it's got our base color down, you could come in and grab some dark, or just grab some more green paint down here. And so you're just going to add some darker green down below here. Have some here. I also brought in marker. So for now, I'm just kind of getting some darker shading down here on its belly. Bottom of his leg. It might be a little bit darker green coming down his tail. And like I said, I used markers, which I'll show you to add more shading into it as well. Now, as that's kind of drying, we can add more darkers to keep it with the form if you want. You might have a little more darker on his feet here. So those are being shaded. Now, since I use green, I can go ahead right now and already add these stripes, blue stripes. I just don't want it to be too wet. If your picture's too wet at this point, you can let it dry a tad bit. But I'm going to go ahead and see what my blue is going to do. Now, if you're choosing different colors, because you could have a rainbow chameleon, you probably don't want to paint the entire thing if you want to have red stripes, because red and green together, if it's still wet, is going to make a brown. So if you want your stripes to be a different color, then you can paint around your stripes. But since my blue and green, blue is Purdy making green, I'm going to go ahead and just paint my stripes in blue. Now what I did was I painted them in blue, but later on I came back with some marker and colored over them just so they were a little bit bolder. So you paint all your stripes blue, you get the point there, so you paint them all in, you could color them all in blue. You could rinse off your brush completely, and then you could add a tiny bit of yellow up here. You could add some in here. Just make him a little lighter on top. At that point, maybe I'll add a little bit of yellow over here. Why not? Some on his head. So yellow and blue make green, so that's why all these colors are going together now. You can see this is kind of blending together. If anything starts to get out of control, it's too wet, just grab a little piece of paper towel, dab it, it'll fix your spot. And fix it. Move on to your branch. So your branch, again, I colored it all brown with my watercolor, and then I came in with my markers to add the texture and the shadows. Brown, like I said, I'm going to come back in with some marker. And then for my leaves, what I did was, again, get them wet. Grab a little bit of green for one side. You can see how when they're wet, it really moves around. If it starts to get too crazy again, you get too much water on there, grab a little bit of paper towel. You can just dab some of that off. Keep going. And then I just added a little bit of yellow, made those kind of blend together. Okay, so you would go around and do that kind of for all your all your leaves. All right, so my painting's kind of dry a little bit. I did paint this green part of the eye. You can leave that part white so it just looks more cartoony, or you can paint it in and we'll bring it more kind of what that chameleon eye looks a little more realistically in a second. But I'm going to show you the type of pens, markers I'm using are these Arteza brush pens, kind of like a watercolor pen, but you can use markers, but these are pretty fun to play around with if it's something you want to order. I ordered them off Amazon. Grabbed a blue one. I'm going to come back over my blue just to make the blue look a little bit bolder, right? So you can just see it's going to make it be a little brighter than just the flat watercolor. Now you can make it with watercolor brighter or darker, I mean, just by adding less water with a smaller brush. So that's also something you could do if you didn't want to use the mixed media that we're using. So right now you can see how much brighter that looks on there. Just a little bit more contrast between the green and the blue. Continuing on all my little stripes, making them a little bit bolder and brighter. And then type of green marker just to add a little bit of that shading on the bottom. So making that have that idea that he is a form, he's three-dimensional, he's not just a flat shape. Might have some shading going on down here, maybe has a little bit under his leg. Again, you don't have to do any of this at all. You could just stop where you were. But I'm just adding a little bit of some shading going on. There's a little bit on his feet. He's gonna have darker down here on his chin. Chameleons have like those scaly things on their chin too, so we could add a little bit of texture under there. Bring like a darker brown marker in. Just so we want to add that idea of texture. So you could just give some stripes in there. Just add the idea of texture in your tree. You can see the chameleon had some black dots on there. So you could just come in, add in some dots, bigger, smaller on its back. You know, on his chin, he might have a little bit more, some texture lines down here. A couple little dots on there. And then around his eye, if you wanted to leave that white, you can leave it white, but if you wanted to have more of that chameleon wrinkly texture, you could just add some curved lines a little bit around it. You know what we forgot to go is his little nostril. He needs to be able to breathe. There we go. So that's pretty much it. So you can see this one I did, and then my finished one I'll bring back that we started with. You can kind of see just all the shading and everything we did with that. So that is it for today's lesson, and I hope everyone has a wonderful week. I will see you next time. Thanks. Bye.